Brass Radio, you don't know. Pop the good music. Play them.
African people, if we would like to own our own schools, our own businesses, our own community development and skill centres, our own banqueting suites, police our own communities and stop knife and gun crimes, give £1 or more per week to the Bade Fund. Please give generously today and remember our children and grandchildren's future is our responsibility. The Bade Fund, our future is our business. To contribute to the Bade Fund, go to www.baedfund.co.uk. So that's www.badefund.co.uk. Click on Donate Now, where you will find the details, or click on the PayPal section in the header box. The Bade Fund, the Bade Fund, the Bade Fund, the Bade Fund.
Many more will have to die. Don't ask me why.
Enroll now 9-week holistic herbal health course. Learn traditional African concepts of health, the art and science of nutrition and herbal medicine, detoxification, importance of sleep, natural remedies for stress, herb walk, herbal preparation, tea tasting, microgreens growing, and much more. Where? Tea Chances, 399 High Road, Tottenham, London N17 6QM. Weekly, Tuesdays, May the 7th through to July the 2nd, 6:30 till 9 p.m. £25 per class, or to purchase full course, call 079 497 13639. That's 079 497 13639. See you there.
This is called the cancer bush.
Prophet
Ujayi, and welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show. Brought to you by the Earth Center. I'm Katasta Fakara, and welcome to another week of sharing wisdom and knowledge from the Kemetic traditions. Yes, you heard the song Naba by King Bala from Burkina Faso. Welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show. The Wisdom of the Nile show is a show that comes to you weekly by way of blessradio.org. So at the top of the show, we want to give thanks to the station that has this platform, has the platform and allows us to go out live. We bring information, we bring traditional knowledge from our ancestors. And the Earth Center is an organization that was set up by Neb Naba, the name you heard being sung in the song at the top of the show, Neb Naba Lamusa Moron Denebeg, high priest from the Kemetic traditions. So straight off here at the top of the show, I want to acknowledge the world of the divine, and we want to acknowledge our ancestors, those who went before us and opened the door for us to come and take the journey, take the fight, however you want to put it, take it further so we can pass the baton to our next generation. Neb Naba Lamusa Modern Denebeg was given the permission by the temples to bring the traditional Kemet knowledge out into the West, so that those of us who are desirous to return either physically to the land of Merita is where we call Africa, or in spirit or through the culture, we had the opportunity to engage in an authentic way with an authentic tradition that has been kept for thousands of years by the Dagomba people in West Africa. So the Earth Center is an organization that makes that possible. They offer the traditional knowledge to people who want to learn. And they do that through many organizations, many arms of the organization. And as we go further in the show, hopefully we'll be able to share more about the Earth Center. Now, if you've been tuning in for the last couple of weeks, you would know that we have had the opportunity, great opportunity, because I know he's not going to be with us for much longer, at least for now. He'll be coming back shortly, we hope. We have had the opportunity to have Naba Idita Shemnira, son of Naba Lamusa Modern Denebeg, here with us in the UK, and he has been sharing his knowledge with us. So, first of all, let me welcome you, Naba.
Thank you, Katasta.
Welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show.
Thank you.
Now, last week, we had you on the show and we were firing questions at you. I don't think it's going to be much different this week, because we've got, again, even more questions than we did last week. You know, so normally if you follow the show, we normally have a format, but when, you know, we have, you know, guests like this passing through, or when we have our teachers passing through, we really have to give them the floor, because it's the authentic Kemetic knowledge coming directly from them. Now, we're also going to have our brother Nehipsa. He will be also hosting the show with us this evening, so he will be coming in to fire some of those questions at you, Naba. So I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So before we go into the questions that our listeners and people on media, social media and other initiates have been asking, there has been something that I have been seeing on the news. I think it was yesterday or today I saw it. And we spoke a bit about that part of the Dogon tradition last week. So I really, if you don't mind, I'd like to just ask you a bit about that because, I did see it and I just wanted some clarity on it. So there has, and I've been hearing it for a week or two, some kind of altercation, some kind of issues going on with the Dogons in I believe it's Mali. I'm really not sure because then this is again when it's given to you. I mean, it's Al Jazeera. I saw it on. You won't get that on your normal BBC, right? But my husband always likes to watch Al Jazeera, so that's how I've seen it for the last couple of weeks. That there's been some tribal war or some kind of altercation happening with another tribe, and then the last day or two there was some kind of massacre. Could you enlighten us on what's going on over there?
Yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you to Bless Radio Station, and I would like to say thanks to all of our listeners, people who've been following, especially our student bodies, our initiates, our, leadership, the leadership that's representing the Dogon's, temple and Dogon Renaissance and Ancestral Renaissance, and the Kemetic Renaissance. I will just have to say that, it's a little bit challenging because once you receive the news, and then the news comes from the same person who is actually at the origins of the problems that's happening, then you just end up kind of receiving the one aspect of it without really seeing the other aspect of it. The thing is, like, there was exactly to confirm it. There was in around Mali, around Mopti, there was a fight between the Dogon tribe and established there around Mopti, and the Fulani people. The Fulani people are mainly like nomadic, tribe. They travel a lot, and wherever they feel like they can stop, to take care of the animals and all of that, they will, settle, do what they have to do. So somehow, with history and with the way everything, humanity is evolving, they have to also learn how to stop traveling and then have like base, have like a home, have like a place where they can call like their home as well. The Dogon people, the tribe that's over there is mainly a tribe that's kind of known for its for agriculture, because they are farmers. Most of them are like farmers. So that is a situation. The situation is that these people have been living together for a long time. Okay, they never get to fight. This is not the first time that the Dogon and then the Fulani on that land, live together. They've been living together for thousands of years. They've been living together. All right. So the problem is actually, those that we will call our politics, or those that we will call, the Western, countries are really like the problem. And I'm sure everybody know that it's been, almost about 5 years or 7 years that, the American government, British government, and the French government have been establishing their army base in Mali, in the desert. And that's exactly where they're saying that the people are fighting, the fight is coming from. This is where they're saying that the problem is coming from. But once they arrive they went there for uranium, they went there for diamond, they went there for, natural resources that they found, on those lands. Now, you cannot just go and then kick people out of their villages or out of their lands where they've been living for thousands of years, just because you want to, take the gold, take the diamond, and take the natural resources that are there. But at the same time, not giving them a way of at least restarting, their lives, or restarting their communities. So what happens is, like, the Fulani people that live like around the desert are the one that kind of now have to move because those, they call it, I think they call it Operation Balkan or something like that, Balkan Operation or something like that. That's what they call it. And right after the, what they call like Operation Printemps, that's like when they started kind of killing or removing like Gaddafi in power. I mean, actually killing him. And then when they start removing like all of
The spring uprising that came around.
Exactly. So right after that, they weren't able to control, the guns, the weapons. All of the weapons that, the Western countries kind of sent, thinking that Gaddafi will fight them, will kind of resist. All of those guns, weapons are right now, circulating like in the desert and then coming to West Africa now. So those people that they hired at the beginning to kind of fight, those people are no more fighting because there's no fight because Gaddafi didn't really want to fight, and they end up killing him. So now what will you do with the guns, with the weapons? Nothing, because you already put it in the people's hand. So you can tell them like bring the guns back. So those people didn't bring the guns back. Now, the Fulani people who happen to be like closer to, those Arabic countries in Africa, happen to be some of those people who have access to, who had access to those weapons and everything. Now, once the Western kind of military bases are trying to establish over there, they didn't give those people a way of restarting their lives. You're coming to kick people out of their land, to take their resources and everything. Gold, diamond, only gods know what they really taking, out of that land in the desert. So when you take everything, at least think about giving those people a way of restarting their lives and all of that, and then they're not going to have a problem. No, you can't just leave them like that. So when they talk about terrorism in, in Africa right now, they're even saying that there's like, people shouldn't be traveling to my country, in Burkina Faso, because of that. Right. And then Mali, we are kind of, classified as red countries. You shouldn't go around those places. But we don't wake up fighting. We don't wake up, with the intention of we want to kill each other. So those same people that we call like terrorists, or those same people that we call like, we say that they are terrorists. No, you're the one terrorizing those people on their lands. You're the one who went there to terrorize them with your army and all of that. Start building your bases, your military bases and all of that, and then start killing them. So those people want their land back. Give them their land back. At least if you're not going to give them their land back, just give them what they need to restart their lives. So that's really like the problem. Now, those people travel down to the West Coast. So they end up now kind of coming, those who are like nomadic, end up coming into those who are like farmers. So they need land to farm. After kicking them out of their land, they need land, new land, first of all, to restart their communities, and second, to feed their families, to farm. Now, that's not possible because the Dogon people have been living there for a long time, and they own those lands. So you can't just come in and say you want to grab some land and start farming, and that will start fight, and that's what it is about. In short, what the BBC or Al Jazeera will not explain you, or they're not allowed to explain you.
It's the same thing over again.
Over and over.
It hasn't changed.
Yep.
Yep. And it's amazing because it for a time where humanity is supposed to be at its peak of civilization, I don't know if humanity has ever seen such death and destruction that humans are doing to human beings.
Yeah, all of that is, we have to say thanks to somehow, Mother Nature, and we have to say thanks to Mother Earth, because we went away, like far away from the principles that hold, this place, this planet, together. And anything that this planet can do to really kind of adjusting will do that. Okay, but we don't want to blame, nature or universe or earth for whatever is going to human. We just have to blame our arrogancy because human, believe it or not, human are so arrogant, and especially human in the modern societies, the modern governments are so arrogant in the way that they think they control. They have everybody's life in control. They have everybody's, concern, under control and all of that. No, we know robots. Human beings are no robots.
They're trying to make people that now, though, but you're right. At the
Exactly.
moment, we're not.
At the moment, we're not robots, So, knowing that they haven't achieved their goals of turning everybody into robots, we're not robots. So people have other needs that the government does not have a way of, sustaining. Now, you started a civilization in the modern societies where you think that whatever was happening in Kemet, like the Pharaoh, the work that the Pharaoh was doing, you thought it was like an easy work. Like, to lead the whole humanity was like easy work. And then you can take the lead of humanity. And you took the lead of humanity thinking it's going to be easy. At the time you notice it's not going to be easy, one thing to do is to reconsider your approach and then redefine your goals. Because right now in this society, you don't have a goal. Like, this society doesn't tell you your goal, the reason of your life, the reason why you have to wake up every time the sun rises, the reason why you have to wake up and do what you have to do. This, society doesn't tell you that. The only thing this society tells you is what you have to do for it to remain together. Meaning, wake up, be on time at your job place, do what you have to do, and then get your 15 minutes of a break, and then leave, come back home, probably watch TV, you're tired, and go to sleep. Now, once you live in that kind of society, and that kind of society is the one now trying to impose its vision or its way on other societies that are mainly communities. Because in the West, you don't live communities, you live individual. Okay.
Definitely. Most people don't even know their next door neighbors.
Exactly. Like sometimes when I'm on the plane and then the plane's about to land and you look how the houses are, line up in, in these kind of countries and all of that. It just seems like, the way you keep chickens and, pigs in a farm, like everyone has his, classified and all of that. So it's no different from a prison. Because in the prison system, that's what it is. Everybody has his own cell and all of that. So you might have your bedroom and your kitchen and your bathroom and all of that, but that is not different from a cell. Okay, your small backyard over there, it's not different from a cell. So with that, you cannot bring that kind of perspective of where everything kind of closed and restrained and all of that in the place where people live community, where people. If I have my house here, my neighbor's house needs to be like about 500 meters away from me, where we know what's happening because we need that land for something, that space for something. So here you don't have that, so you cannot impose that on those other people, and then that's really what's getting us now because they have to come. The land that exists between me and my neighbor, the system has to come now. Your governments have to come and take it and come and then help you with that, take care of you with that. Imagine, all of the cars that everybody drive in the West, let's say in England, all of the cars that you drive, people don't happen to ask themselves the question, where's the gas coming from? The oil that you use, the petrol that you use, no one really happen to ask where it's coming from. Knowing that a lot of people have to die for it. A lot of people have to die for it, like what's happening like yesterday or 2 days ago in our villages, Dogon villages. That's the same thing, People have to die for that, for you to have your comfort in the modern societies. So we paying the price of, the system failing you, but trying to kind of compensate, trying to kind of get you to feel like you are in good hands.
You know, you said something just now, and I want to go back to that because we don't hear that. You said when the pharaohs were leading humanity, and we know it's the Greeks and the Romans, the Persians came in too. They came in thinking it was an easy job. Now, humanity doesn't even have the concept anymore of somebody leading them on a divine path. Humanity doesn't even, that's not even considered anymore.
No, we don't exist as human anymore. Okay, nowadays we exist as citizens.
As citizens of
we
the
exist
world.
as a citizens. We don't exist as
As a
human
human.
anymore. Okay, because we have like superpowers. We have like some people or a group of people who somehow, in bad luck or good luck for us, happen to be on top, happen to be the one like controlling everything we need. They think that we need while we're still living here. Like while I'm still living in London, the system knows that I need certain things, and then the system will have to make sure to have their hands on it and controlling it, meaning like they're controlling me. So that makes it like so difficult. Now, someone from France who comes here probably has like almost the same rigidity, but not the same system. The person will have to adjust.
Yeah.
So that's why when you cross, you have to show your passport because you're no more human. It's not like a human crossing to, crossing the river to go to another human's house. It's not like that. Okay, so they overcome, building this kind of fear or this kind of arrogancy in human being, within human being, to the point where human being feels like, I'm better than this one. So, but how can you be better than another human being? Can you be better than another human being? Only because you think the system is granting you, or the system is rewarding you for whatever you've been doing to contribute within it. So I don't do that. I don't get those rewards. So that can get you to feel like you're better than me. So we're no more human. There's no more humanity. We just have like citizens. And thanks to the Roman for that.
That's right, because when they spoke about citizens, it was in the Roman citizens. That's where, and it's amazing because they don't, although they hark back to that time, but really many of what still stands today came directly out of those times.
Yep.
And the ironic thing is that those were the powers, but those were the civilizations, I'll still use that in quotations, who were, and I'm going to use the word, feeding off of the Kemetic tradition, because it's like a mother that you sucked the milk from her breast, and then you turn around and cursed her.
Just scratch her with your nails, probably because you can poke her and then get some knives and some things and then go poking her and then all of that. Yes, that's what happened. This system doesn't have anything. Let me tell you this, okay? Just whoever is listening to this, or who's going to be watching this, just sit 1 minute. Give yourself like about 10 minutes to really think. And put the indigenous cultures on this hand. And the modern, the supposed developed, societies on this land. And ask yourself, what's the difference between the two societies or the two ways of life? One happened to be, as you said, the mother of the other. The indigenous societies happen to be like the mother or the father of the modern societies, which the modern society will look down and say they are savage. The concept, even it's about concept. When you take the concept of savage and the concept of modern, the modern is like the son or the daughter of a savage, or is like the descendant of a savage. Now, how did the modern, end up thinking like it's better than where it's coming from or what is like its roots by being able to deny. By being able to deny certain things to where it's coming from. And that's what every human being is doing. Mostly black people. We were talking about it here. Black people know that, these places, whether Europe or America and all of that, is not made for them. It's not made for them. They know their ancestors came from somewhere. Even Trump or the pro-Trumps right now, I say Trumps. So
Trumpets, and trumpets, yeah.
So the pro-Trump, in America, the situation we find ourselves now is like people over there who are like thinking like, they are like pro-Trump are telling people, or white people, let's say, rednecks, are telling black people, go home, go back to where your people come from. We don't need you anymore. The time we needed you is finished. We don't need you anymore. Go home. They're telling the same thing to the Mexican. Go home. We don't need you anymore. Okay? But we have the lack of we have the low self-esteem to the point where we feel like, no, we need you. Because that's really like where the fight is right now. It's like the black people feel like, no, we need you. Even if you don't need us, we need you.
But you see, this is the thing though, Naba. In that 2,000 years of colonization, they have gotten humanity to a place where they feel now they cannot do without the system. We know that to really take a stance, and here I do have to acknowledge my conscious brothers and sisters and other groups like the Rastafarians and those who have held, at least try to maintain some dignity. We know what it takes to divorce yourself from this system. It is not easy. Yep. To the point where you may not even be able to feed your family, because that was the reality that happened to many people who separated them from the system. You would not be able to work. You had to go and feed yourself from the bush. You had to take a stand for your own dignity. Many people are not willing to make that sacrifice.
That's right. Yep, that's what it is. That's all problem. Now they feel like you need them. And yeah, you need them.
And they know that.
Yeah,
you've gotten so caught. So you're listening to Wisdom of the Nile show. We are speaking with Naba, Idita Shemnira Dogon Priest. I'm just going to bring in the sounds of the Voodoo drums. Our brothers and sisters there in Haiti, they would use the Voodoo drums to overcome the challenges. I think they said it was over 60,000 troops went into Haiti. It may have been 40, but let's say 60,000. I think it was about 35,000 troops. Yeah. And there was only a few thousand people on the island. And using the tradition of the Voodoo, our Haitian brothers and sisters, when the fight had finished, only about 6,000 troops left the island alive. No. The drums of the Voodoo. You're listening to the Wisdom of the Nile show. We are just playing some of the Vodon drums. We are coming back to speak with our brother Naba Idita Shemnira, and we will be giving him some of the questions that you have been asking on social media.
Ujai, and welcome back to the Wisdom of the Nile show.
Okay.
And as you know, we've got a special guest here this evening. This is his third week in the studio, and there's a barrage of questions waiting for him. Really.
No problem, I'm ready.
Yeah, so
Let's see what we can do or what we can say.
yeah. Well, first I would just like to greet and honor our ancestor for giving us the privilege to be here. And I'd want to say a special acknowledgement to Neb Naba Lumusa Morandenebig for bringing the Earth Center to us, to humanity here, really, so that we can have this opportunity to be sitting here, really. And I'm privileged to be here, to be, interviewing the son of Neb Naba, really, who was continuing his work and, has given us this opportunity here in the West to be privileged to get some of this knowledge.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, one of the first questions we would like to ask, I mean, this is probably going to go back to what you were just speaking about now, like in terms of what can we do and to change things, like, the system turning things against us or turning us against ourselves. And as we know, today is Ancestral Holy Day, and we know that our ancestors basically, without them, there wouldn't be no us. And so they're there still, like, waiting for us to be helping them so that they can help us. So the question I'd like to ask you really is, as I said, today is the Ancestral Holy Day, and this is observing the sidereal calendar. So what is the importance of honoring our ancestors?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question, and every question is a good question actually, but this one is would be a question I would say that's like a pertinent because as I was saying at the beginning, we were educated to, or maybe forced to run away from ourselves at some point in time, and those who ask us to run away from ourselves, to be scared of ourselves, and to even Be care of those that will kind of maintain us, those that will took care of us, those that will raise us, those that will give us life, and those that will kind of somehow at some point were the one to point their finger out and show us this is what you call sun, this is what you call moon, this is star, this is that. They're telling us to kind of just forget about them. How can you forget about something like that? Something like those people. How can you just forget about their sacrifice? How can you just forget about their love? How can you just forget about their care that they gave you, like just like that, because they are physically not here. They are not here physically. We can't do that. So that's where, when you kind of, judge the intelligence of whatever we call the modern intelligence, we say that's not like intelligence. That's like anti-intelligence. That's what we call it, the intelligence of anti-intelligence, because you can just, forget about that part of your life like that. You have to find a way to still connect to that and all of that. I notice I noticed something very important that probably a lot of people notice they will not really pay attention. When you go to white people's house, you have trophies, you have pictures of family members hanging, you have pictures, you have even like an auto, where like they have like all of the achievements of their ancestors and all of that. You look in the White House, you see the same thing. Okay, I don't know. I haven't been to Buckingham Palace, so I don't know what's in there. I haven't been to White House either, but I watch movies and I see what they put in there. When you look at you pay attention at the street signs, the highways, the road signs, the names of the roads and the streets. These people know how to not let go of their ancestors. But they know how not to let go of their ancestors by the way they can just do it, the minimum that they can do it, or if that's the maximum, I don't know. But we, coming from a culture where we have a strong connection to our ancestors, a strong connection to our dead relatives, and actually that's keeping us in indigenous cultures, especially in Africa. That's why you will say that somehow we grow up as young boys and young girls strong, stable, mentally strong, stable and strong, and all of that, strong character and all of that, because we didn't let go of one aspect of it. Okay, like we didn't just only like look at those who are ahead in front of us, but we also were educated to learn how to look at those who were behind us. Okay, and that's what is not happening here, And then how important is it to really honor your ancestors? That would be like how, asking somebody the question, how important is it for you to take care of a newborn? A newborn who just been born, how important is it to take care of that newborn? And that's really like, we might decide not to take care of that newborn, and that newborn somehow can probably, starve, suffer, and die. But our consciousness is not going to be easy. Even if though our conscious is easy, our subconscious will judge us at some point when we go to our bed. Now, do you dream or not? You dream.
Yeah.
I think everybody in at least once in life already, got experience to dream, the dream experience. Now, when you get to dream, and then you get to even see some of your ancestors in your dreams, some of your dead relatives in your dreams, is that telling you that they are gone or they are still around? And when you see yourself with them, and then you see them still like in the life, mode and all of that, and you wake up and then they're not present. The reason is because when you go to sleep, your spirit gets rid of the body. Your spirit leaves the body and then travel. Just like the way your ancestor spirit left the body and travel. But in your case, you just still have this heart that's still beating. That's the only difference between a sleeper and then a dead body, a cadaver. Someone sleeping, the only difference is because the heart is still beating. Once the heart stops beating, then you know far from someone who's dead already. It's like death. So that's why for us we say like sleep is like a small death, you know. And every time we get that small death, you know, when we go to sleep, we get to die for a small amount of time. We get a chance to, you know, reconnect with the spirit world. And when we reconnect with the spirit world, we see, you know, some people. We see the people, living people, those who are still alive. We see those who are not alive. And then we see other realities. We see other dimensions. All of that is like, you know, things that forces us. It's a big question, but those are some of the things I can just put there for everybody to start thinking about and then see how important. Because if you don't know how important is it for you, you have to be the one to judge. If it's important for you, then that's when we can really start now kind of going into the ways of doing it. Because I'm not expecting to be saying like how to do it through this question, because this question just has to really help the listener to understand that, you know, it's important, you know, ancestral, because even those that we say controlling us know how to honor their ancestral spirit.
I mean,
Their names.
that's what you were saying before, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
How they're able to kind of to turn us against ourselves.
Exactly.
Because I remember even being at school, as you say, like you see, like in history, they've always got their portraits, family portraits,
Yep.
and as you say, the roads and things like that. So we're forever remembering someone else's ancestor,
Yep.
and we're forgetting about ourselves really. And you know, coming back to what you were saying earlier on, you know, starting off the show, you
Yeah.
can see how easy it is really that why we're the position that we're in,
Yep.
because we're never looking at self really, is it?
Yeah, and when you don't look at yourself, don't expect anyone to look at you. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when people go around, you know, walking the street, you know, protesting and doing all of those kind of things, or even, you know, a lot of people now, there's internet, people who go on the internet and trying to build their personalities and trying to build their whatever they might think is like legitimate, you know, questions to answer or legitimate ways of things on the internet and all of that. What you don't really understand is like, it's not about how the world sees you. It's more about how you see yourself. And if you see yourself as nothing, don't expect the world to see you as something. You know, that's just like very simple, you know, logics that people need to understand. You have to. I'm not telling people not to go to jobs, not to go back to their jobs. You know, it's not a job. Okay, some people call it career. Career is something that carry you on. Okay, it's career. It carries you. You know, it's not really like you know, something that's really you.
Yeah.
You're just doing it to be able to carry you somewhere. Okay, or a job is like something that you have to go do because it has something to do with your survival. But that's not your survival. It's just part of your life, and that's not your life. You know, if you work like you know, as an accountant, being an accountant is not a life. It's just a job. It's like a work. Okay, and then you don't wake up being accountant every day, every second, every minute, every month, every year. You don't wake up being that. So that means it's just like the same way that you get to feel like, you know, let me fix my car, or let me fix, you know, my garage today. That's a job that you just gave yourself, but somehow it's a job that somehow you're the one who gave that to yourself, and you're not going to be paid. Like a monetary payment, you're not going to receive that. You know, that's not different from you, you know, waking up in the morning with a cup of coffee and then run, you know, in the traffic or underground and all of that, going to the office. That's not different. You're running and going to the office because it's whatever you're about to do now, you're doing it for someone. And when you do it for someone, that person has control over what needs to happen, So we don't ask people to run away from their jobs. Just consider those your jobs. But understand you have a life and you have to pay respect to that life. You have to honor that life. You have to show some value to that life. And how can you show a value to a life? You can only show a value to a life by how that life honors its dead. That's why we are called like a culture of people who bury their dead. We are a culture of people who bury their dead because we honor them. Okay, and once you know how to honor your dead relatives, once you know how to work the way your dead relative work in their life, like their legacy, and once you're able to really hold a principle, hold on the principles that have been maintaining those people for a long time, there's no way someone will not respect you. When they see you in the street, they will have to respect you for that. Okay, but when you're trying to imitate me, I'm not gonna have respect for you. When you're trying to imitate the royal family, live like the royal family, yeah, that royal family cannot respect you. You're trying to imitate your boss, your CEO's, way of life. Yeah, he's not gonna respect you. You're just like a copy of him.
Yeah,
He's the original. Okay.
and this is how they have us thinking really, right? We're running in a race that we've been designed for us to lose. We can't win in a race by someone else's rule that they set the agenda already.
I was given in a class, when we talk about, evolution and we talk about development. This society thinks they are developed, the modern societies, like they are developed. Everybody wants to be developed. Everybody wants to be civilized, But we use a lot of concepts without knowing what they really mean. Civilized, you just need to be someone who obey the law. That's what it is. Civilization doesn't mean that you are, rising, to somewhere. You just being, according to the Roman, for you to be, for you to become a citizen, you have to be able to be civilized first. Okay, to become a citizen. So, development is not a kind of how do you call it? It's not like it's run. No one is chasing you. Okay, like you get to develop yourself when the time comes, when everything, all of the conditions are there for you to develop. But this is the problem. Even that concept of developed, the opposite of that. Not the opposite. The roots of that concept of to develop, it has like a envelope. Okay, I don't know if people know the concept of envelope. There's envelope and there's develop. Okay, you have to think about really what you aiming to. Okay, you have to think about what you aiming to. You want to develop yourself, then you follow this system. But you want to be someone who's like who's like envelope, then you have to learn how to know yourself, how to within you build the qualities and the values. Be civilized within yourself. Don't be civilized according to what the system or what the one who wants development want. Develop means like you're just giving yourself, and then you like at the mercy of anything or anyone. You like that field where anyone can just come and jump and then go. But once you learn how to really like adopt the position of someone who wants to envelop themselves, then you just learn how to put those values in you. And that's why in our culture, we want nature within us. We're working in the way that nature is within us. Anything that exists in nature is within us. We try to assimilate nature with nature. We try to get, like, when you look at me or when nature sees me, for nature not to be scared of me, for nature not to feel like I'm a danger to it, which is not like, which is not going to be the same thing when someone from, Wall Street, gets to Africa. I think the nature will run away from them, or get to the Amazon, the nature will run away from them. So development is not,
Destruction. That's what it leads to. Isn't it?
That's just destruction. That's what it is. destruction by, the fact of making you feel like you are comfortable. But at the end, you're just going to the edge, and then by the time you reach the edge, it's finished. You can't really survive. You can't really come back, and you can force, everybody to adopt that. Okay, to kind of, be like the spouse of your ideology of development. Because, I mean, what's that really saying is like, we coming from cultures where one person wants to develop, then it has to be like everybody developing. Now, if one person wants to succeed, then it's like everybody will have to succeed, like community,
The
family. So we cannot, like the way the modern countries are forcing, superpowers are forcing their will, democracy, whatever, on their ideology on African continent and all of that, the rest of the world. It can function because those people are like fundamentally communities. We live communal. We don't live like individual. Like you have a nice car, I don't have it. That doesn't mean that you are better than me. It just means the society that you just, a person who doesn't, have values. That's what it is.
Well,
Because
if I got a car, I can give you a lift. So we're both,
Exactly.
now, as you said about the individual, now
Exactly.
it's like, to achieve,
Yep.
it's like you got to step on the next person to get
before even getting a car, I would say if you don't need shoes. If I see that you don't have shoes, I'm gonna say maybe let me get maybe a less, or let me get a motorcycle first, but let me get shoes to the people of my community who don't have shoes. That's not what's happening here. I see people sleeping in the street. I see people sleeping like under the bridges and all of that over here. But yet you want to sell that same ideology to people. I was saying on this radio, like even in our countries, crazy people, mental sick people still have a house that they have to go to sleep to. The goats, chickens that you see running the street and all of that know how to go back when the sun goes down to their houses and go sleep. So
Which, I mean, what you've just said there leads on to my next question. Then, why is initiation so important for people?
that's something that's very old. Okay, and it's not like a initiation is a. It's not like it's a responsibility. But when you try to bring like the concept of initiation in the modern mind, you have to either not call it initiation, but call it the rite of passage. They will understand it better. Because if I'm trying to really talk about initiation, I don't think the modern mind will understand it, will grasp it. But when we talk about initiation, we're really talking about the rite of passage. Every human being who is born on earth gets to know how to stand up, how to walk, and how to talk. By the time you start really knowing what, looking at your sex, and then start thinking that sex is not only useful for peeing, it can be useful for something else, you need to go to the rite of passage. And that's why in our societies we don't have what you have in these modern societies that you call, homosexuality and all of that. Because in our societies, we grow up reinforcing the gender of the human. The human, already at the age of 7, is growing up knowing how to reinforce their gender, knowing how to accumulate, the energies and the knowledge and the ways and the principles that their gender impose on them. Now, in this society, you don't have that. That's why when people grow up confused. They don't even, those are not choices. That we're talking about people making choices. No, those are not choices.
Conditioning.
Those are just like condition. I mean, this is just like a failure of the society, but the society is making it feel like it's a right. But it's a failure. Okay? Society knows that those leading this society know that they don't have a way of dealing with that problem. The only way they have to deal with it is to make a law and then force it to be civilized. But you cannot do that because that's just look at the root of the problem. And I don't think in this society no one ever asked the problem, what is causing those. The lack of initiation caused that. The lack of the rite of passage caused that. Even the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, they adopted the rite of passage. I think even nowadays people have it in the universities where they talk about kappa, sororities and fraternities and all of that. People have that, but they just have it for the wrong reason. They just have it for the wrong goals, because in traditions, or since the time of the pharaohs all the way to nowadays in our cultures, we have what we call, like, rite of passage. And then by the time the child gets to know that the penis or the vagina has another use, is useful for something else, that child needs to go to the rite of passage through the initiation. And that's when you get to reinforce your masculine energies, or your masculinity, as you might call it, needs to be reinforced. And then your femininity needs to be reinforced in that. You have nowadays here where some feel like they are feminine, but they want to adopt like a masculine, thing. Some wants to remain woman, who love like a man, but they want to impose themselves like, no, you're not over me. I can do what you can do, and all of that. That's all of that. That's like the failure of the society. Every society has its failure, has its failures. In our societies, we have our failures, but our failures are not really that low to these kind of failures. And then for these kind of failures, these modern societies just have to be humble about it, and then make it known. Yeah, we fail. We don't know what to do.
So you would say that the schooling really is their rite of passage, where they're conditioning our children to be what they want, as opposed to Kemetic now, really, right? You're instilling the values, the principles. So by they get to a certain age, well, there won't be no prison system or anything like that, because the child would then know its purpose, what it's there for to do.
Yep. It's we don't have at the beginning, actually not at the beginning, even like nowadays in the most indigenous societies in our places, we don't have the concept of prison. To the point when you tell someone like, oh, our cousin who is in the city, this city, and this, the son of this or daughter of this, he is in jail. They were like, what's that? They will ask you, what's that? What's he's in jail means what? For them, if you don't explain, it's like you telling them like he succeeded, he did like a good deed. It's like, oh wow, he reached some. You have to explain them. No, he's actually in trouble, and the white men, dogs, kind of arrested him. That's how we call soldiers actually. I'll show respect to soldiers for what they do, but when a soldier doesn't know what they're looking for, or doesn't know the difference between the right and the wrong, then you just don't have to respect that kind of soldier, So what we say is like, the system of prison will not exist. Okay, a lot of things will not exist. Prostitution will not even exist. Okay, to even talk about homosexuality or all kind of other sexuality that you have over here. Over there, those kind of things will not exist. But now, guess what? These societies now are putting a lot of money to destroy that foundation and bringing that in our societies now, to the point where it's like, if a president in Burkina said, no, we don't want that. We don't want to adopt those kind of laws in our countries, that we're not accepting that. If we see anyone like that, we would punish the person. It's almost like the modern country will just go and say, oh, yeah, this president in Burkina Faso is a dictator.
So the initiation does still help to kind of say to keep people in check then, really.
Yeah. I mean, we, in Africa, a lot of people know the value of their sex, their gender. Okay, a lot of people know the value of their gender. And knowing the value of your gender, that's what I'm saying. Knowing the value of your gender is how you envelop. Okay, you don't develop. Okay, when you don't know the value of your gender, then you develop, and then you open to anything. Anything can get to you. Okay, so yeah, that's really the one of the biggest responsibility that the initiation masters hold. You know, and once you hold that kind of those kind of responsibility, you have to be also like a good example. Okay, you have to be a good example, and you have to be, you know, a good leader into leading people to, or teacher actually, to teaching those people to know how to gain that, you know, and then it's dealt with easily. Okay, and
So
that's what you need here. That's what the modern society needs. That's what these universities and all of that need. Before even kids get to reach universities, that's what they need before even they start watching the screens, whatever tablets or phones that their parents gave them, or you know, whatever school the parents send them and all of that, or whatever they watch on TV. The children needs to know the use, the importance of their gender before even they start being exposed to those kind of things.
but we see in the school now, though, really, I mean, down to up to 4 years old or younger now, really, they're imposing on them, really, right, that even parents don't have the right now to take their children out of school, that they're forced to take in this, what, gender free? Is it gender, what is that they call it? Gender, you feel free to be whatever you want?
Yeah, that would mean like you have an animal, you don't have a child. Okay, only an animal live like that. Even animals know their gender. All right, even animals. We're supposed to be like better than animals, right? But even animals know their gender, and animals will not even go lower than that. Okay, so this is the thing. When you have your child, let's take this mother who has a child, who, even though, yeah, will express, I love my child. There's no parent that does not love their children. There's parents that love their children to the point where they will destroy them.
To overloving them.
You know, by too much love. And by that parent that will love their children to the point where they will build them to become something greater humanity never seen. Okay? Strong people, you know, intelligent people, good people. You know, there's those kind of parents as well. Now, for a parent, either way, whether you like this side or the other side, too much love, or you know, love and discipline at the same time. Let's a parent who suffer to, you know, so first of all, to get your wife pregnant or your husband to get you pregnant, and then to go through the pregnancy and taking care of the pregnancy and all of that and giving birth to the baby, and then not sleeping at night and doing all of that and all the struggle he goes. I'm a father. I know what it takes to be a parent. You know, all that it takes to be a parent. And then suddenly, 5 years later or 3 years later, someone is at your door telling you, no, we have the right to come and take that child if you don't allow that child to do this. That's excuse me for the expression, that's fucked up situation. That's a fucked up society.
But
Probably the one who is even coming out at your door to say that does not even know what it takes to get pregnant or what it takes to impregnate someone. Does not even know what it takes to take care of a child. Okay, but those are mostly the people who are mostly hired to come and do that kind of job. Now, I do all of that for my child, and then you're trying to really tell me like I don't have any rights on that child.
But you lose that right, though, from the moment you register that child. Because there's a law to say that you are forced to register your child within 6 weeks, yeah?
Yes.
And once you do that, then the state automatically have control over that child.
No,
You've lost your right then as a parent.
No, they don't. They don't. Normally, it's a piece of paper. That's why people allow piece of papers to, you know, rule their lives. Okay, and I was just talking about that, how we lost our humanity. You know, how we lost our humanity and all of that, because when you allow a piece of paper to kind of rule your life, then yes, you become someone that, you know, doesn't know the self, that doesn't know how to, you know, value or empower the self. Because the paper, the registration paper that you have here, we have it everywhere too. We have it in Africa, but the government in Africa will not come in my house and say that, you know, they need. I mean, even now they have the campaign where like the the World Health Organization is having a campaign in Africa where they go around in Africa saying that they're vaccinating children, and then vaccinating the things that we don't even know. We weren't there when you did your researches and everything, and we didn't tell you that our children are sick, and then you will be walking around and we bathe our children in herbs when they are born. Okay, like when you look at this skin has been, has went through a lot of healing before even getting to stand here. So my immune system, is like 100 times better than someone who's, been vaccinated here and all of that. 'Cause I don't depend on something that's artificial. I depend on something that's natural. I'm part of nature. That's the mentality, okay? So you don't come in my house and say that you want to vaccinate my children. I have the right to tell you, get up.
But it's I mean, here it's been known that some people, they threaten them to take them to prison or to court, really, because, as I said, really, that
Yeah.
piece of paper there, as much as we shouldn't be kind of recognizing it, the way the system operate, a lot of people are intimidated by it, really, right? And they go along.
Yeah, the first time a parent over here will say that they lost their rights over their child, will be a parent that I would say probably is from this place. You have to be a parent, a human who's from this place, and who doesn't have any other place to call home. Okay, because we can give the excuse that we want to give, but if you don't have another place to call home, and then this is the only place you have, then yeah, you fail your child already. You're not like giving up your rights, but you just failed your child. You just fail like your future, because our children are like our future. And this is why you can see this society, when you look at the children nowadays, you will see that this society is going to a place where we no relation. I don't want to be there when it's going to be time for, like this generation coming now, like the iPhone generations and Android generation children coming now. I don't want to be on Earth when they're going to be the one, taking over the planet. I don't want to be here for that, because it's already too much. And then the children that we raise them with this lack of understanding of our responsibility for the future. That's what this system is saying. It is doing. Like, you don't get to be raising children sacrificing the future. You already sacrificed the past. Okay? Like the ideologies in the modern societies, ideologies over here, is almost like you sacrifice the past. You don't want to know anything about your past. You already sacrificed that. Now, you even living your present, like cut off from your past, living your present. I don't even know how you manage to live that, but living your present in the way that you even sacrificing your future at the same time. And what's the goal of all of those that we call rights, laws, and all that? What's the goal? I mean, what's the goal of the one we call the president? What's the goal of the one? What's the role of the one we call the minister? What's the role of the one we call the Lord? The whatever name that, what's their role? The governor, what's their roles? The mayor, what's their roles? The teacher in the school, what's their roles? It's almost like, everybody's just, self-destroying, and then sorry, So we're gonna make sure, in our countries, to maintain some balance, because here there's no way of maintaining the balance. And you know what? I want to say this here, and probably maybe one day, someone will say, like some young boy said that somewhere on a radio called Bless Radio. You go into what is written in the Bible, talking about apocalypse, that's where it's taking you. That's the goal of this whole Babylonian system. It's going to take you down there. And then we're going to be sitting and waiting at the time where you're going to be, And then you watch a lot of movies where they already tell you how your society is going to end up. And no one happened to be scared of it, happened to think like, let's change it.
Well, the next question there, though, really, I mean, you say like they're destroying things, and what is their goal really? Because it's evident really what they're doing. Even their own children is not going to have a future. So them building satellites and things like that. Well, this next question then basically is a little bit kind of you said people have been taught that heaven is up in the sky and hell is down below the earth. Yeah, is there a heaven and hell? Because
Oh, no, first of all, the question to ask would be, what is telling us that whatever we see at night is up? What's proven that? Or
the
whatever.
stars and things like that. We tend to, from a child when we were taught to just to look up straight when they talk about God, we tend to look up, and it's been like that conditioning the way that we've just
Yeah, that's good because it sounds like the same people or the same ideologies that don't want to think about ancestral spirit. That doesn't want to think about a spirit that, a person that died, their spirit has another journey to continue. At the same time, the same people telling us that, oh, when you die, you have heaven or, hell to go to. Okay, I mean, I'm just gonna use the logics first, because when you read things, you have to apply logic within them. You already the one saying that, your Bible, your books, your Quran, and all of that, saying that, when someone died, that's it. They're dead and they're dead.
That's it, yeah.
That's it. But at the same time, you're the one saying that, oh, but when someone dies, they have a way of going to hell, or they have a way of going to heaven. That's confusing already. Now, to say that heaven is in the sky, I mean, up there, and then hell is down. Yeah, I mean, for heaven, I can challenge that and say nothing, even if there's something that exists that's called heaven, there's nothing that proves that it's up. Okay? Because from the position of on earth, from our position as human being on earth, when we look at the stars or we look at the sun, or we look at the moons, and we think they are up, no. They're not really up. But from our position on earth, that might tell us like maybe they are up. So what about the people now living in Australia? Do they see the star as up as well?
well, they say they're down under, don't they?
No, they see they see, yeah, actually that's what they're supposed to say, because they see the star like down, right? No, because the way the universe function is like, it's interesting, and you have to really pay attention to everything. You can't just, sit on earth and look at the moon and think, oh, the moon is up, above the earth. Nothing proves that. Okay? Nothing proves that someone on the moon look at the planet Earth and say, oh, the planet is down there. All right? But now, let's go to the hell aspect. The hell is something that I'm sure does exist on this earth. And it's going to be more hell to come by the way I see these societies that function. You already live in the hell. I mean, you already live in the hell, in these societies. You don't have your own food. You don't know how to grow your own food. You don't know where your water is coming from. You don't own anything. Everything that's there, you don't own it. It's just like the same way they describe in the Bible and those, book, in those sacred book. You don't have any of that. So technically, I would say that maybe in Africa we living in heaven, because we have our rivers still running, we have our animals around, we have our mangoes growing, we have any indigenous societies where we still have all of those things that we know, like we farm our own food. So we're in the heaven over there. If there's heaven, that the same way they describe it, that would be like a heaven, and then you should start really packing your stuff and then go there, and don't wait till you die. Because when you die, they're going to burn you here. They're not even going to bury you. They're going to burn your body. They're not going to
Yeah.
bury you. So the concept of heaven and hell don't really exist. Okay. Those are just the books, saying that. But the books written by people who are ignorant. They were so ignorant, those people. Okay. They wrote in the Bible, you're not going to say, or in the Quran, you're not really going to see anywhere. You're not going to see anywhere where they say that God or their God, spoke. It's almost like things that were reported by those who knew Jesus or those who knew Muhammad or those who lived with him or those who worked with me, anything like that. Okay. So the concept of the heaven and the concept of the hell comes from somewhere. And that's what I'm saying. If there's this world does not have emptiness, and if you see something, it cannot be new thing. It has to be like a copy of something that already existed around us. Okay, in our life, whenever you see some, it has to be like a copy of something that already existed. Either nature made it, either universe made it. Otherwise, anything we, as human, we're gonna make is just gonna be like a copy. Any idea we can come up with, it's gonna be like a copy of something that already existed. According to the Book of the Dead of Kemet, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, when a human being die, that human being has a way of going through what we call immented stages of transcendence, because it's the spiritual world, right? And it's the spirit. The spirit that does not live in a body anymore is a spirit that's free and does not have any boundaries anymore. Meaning time, space don't affect the spirit. That's any spirit anymore. Okay. I was talking about the dreams. In the dream, you can get to see where your spirit is going because time and space doesn't affect it. But once the spirit is in the body, then there's a time and space that become like parameters. All right. So according to the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, even in our tradition, when you die, according to how you live your life. Right now, if I have to question myself, all of my relatives who die, where did they go? I'm not going to go somewhere different from where they went. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
At least.
yeah.
Because when my dead relative, when my parents die, wherever they went, their spirit went. I know their bodies went to the ground. So when I'm gone, they're going to bury me next to them too. But somehow, wherever their spirit went, I'm not going to go some different. I'm going to go to where they went. Okay? That's why we learn how to maintain that relation with them here. Even though they're gone, we learn every day, ancestral holiday, to say, oh, we know you're gone, you know more in the physical world, but
honor them.
this is for you. There's some milk, there's some, cakes for you. There's some water for you. Come and enjoy. Okay? So that when I die, when I'm going there, they will be there to receive me.
You're prepared away already.
You're preparing the way
Yeah.
for the, like, I can't just, get on the plane and said I'm coming to England, I'm coming to London. I have to go through the visa process, immigration, get the visa, get everything. And then I have to be able to get ticket money to be able to come here. And when I come here, I just don't come and then go like, oh, hotel? Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to stay in a hotel, then I need to have a reason why I'm coming to stay in a hotel. Because you just don't travel and be like, go in a hotel. But people do that now. People who have like
Abundance of money.
a lot of money, they can just travel and go stay in a hotel for no reason. I travel to a place for a reason. When I don't have a reason to travel to a place, I stay in my house. The pleasure that I can get, in Hawaii or in wherever, Bali, I can get it in my house too, with my family and all of them, my people. Okay. So when the spirit travel, the spirit, depending on how the spirit live its life, according to natural laws, according to universal laws, according to the divine laws, and according to the what we call the world of the dead. We call it Imentet in hieroglyphs or in Medu, Imentet. According to those laws, all of those laws, you get to continue your transcendence, like some dimensions that the spirit gets to experience. And you get to have a chance to reincarnate, which the books are denying. So because those books are denying that, they have to create this idea of a heaven
Somewhere else.
that exists where you're going to go and stay. And when you stay there, everything's for free. Abundant. Rivers of milk, rivers of Fanta, rivers of whiskey. You will live your life on earth and then stay away from whiskey just to die and go drink it in heaven. That's like, I don't want to wait to do that. Okay? Because the body is the one that knows the importance of what whiskey does to the body. Okay? I think I was reading somewhere, whiskey meaning like the life, the water of life in Gaelic. In Gaelic, like Irish. If you ask an Irish what's whiskey, they will tell you that means water of life. So it's not water of death. It's water of life already. Okay. So when the spirit goes there, it doesn't stay. You don't really have long time to stay over there. A spirit that overcome, transcending on the basis that, you are judged, your heart has been, weighted, and, judged, and then you are good to go to continue your transcendence. You don't get to stay there long time. Okay? You have at least, at the most, 27 generation before coming back to this earth.
27
generation before you come back to continue working on perfecting yourself. Okay? Now, somebody who didn't live according to those laws, and then somehow, I know a lot of people have some emotional attachment to natural laws and universal laws and, divine laws and all of that, the divine spirit, spirit, and it's not an emotional attachment to things. It's a work. It takes a lot of work to be able to really stand on those principles and laws, which the religion came to tell you can free yourself from that. You don't need to be working that hard. That's what the religion came to do. For us, being like traditionalists and dealing with nature and doing with spirituality, we call religion an anti-spiritual movement. It's not. There's nothing divine about it. It's just like a movement like any other movement. But a movement that started as an anti-spiritual movement. A movement that started to just, prove that whatever the Kemetic temples, whatever the temples down the Nile Valley were doing, you can be free. You don't need to be doing that. Okay, that's where the word freedom is coming from. Liberty. That's where it's coming from, because those religions are worshiping. You can say you're worshiping, a higher being, but that higher being is nothing else than what we call labor. And where the word liberty is coming from. So going to those, realities, and then after you breaking all of the principles here, you don't get to transcend. That spirit will not transcend. Sorry for that spirit, it's not going to transcend. That spirit will remain here, and that's what we call the wandering spirit. Can you imagine how many wandering spirits we have in London? Just in London, how many wandering spirits goes around? So that's what we have, okay? So the wandering spirit is a spirit that does not have access. It's almost like me going to, British consulate for a visa, and my visa is denied. Okay, they deny your visa. What am I going to do? So even if I already have my ticket to travel, my ticket is like worthless. Okay, so you have to be, there, discipline, there to be able to have that. Now, for those people, like in Africa, we're not saying that in African tradition or African belief, like everybody is perfect. No, because we get to have like people who are not perfect who die and who get, you know, jailed in this reality, like in this dimension. So we have to help them, and that's where we do ancestral veneration. That's when you see us, giving offerings to our ancestors. That's when you see us doing like rituals to get the spirit to harmonize with this reality, whatever the spirit missed, did not do when that person was alive, what they weren't able to do to keep that harmony with realities here, that will allow them to transcend. We do rituals to fix those things, to bring the spirit, to, if it takes to ask for forgiveness from nature, we do that. If it takes to ask, apology to the spirit, we do that. If it takes to ask forgiveness to a human being that, that relative hurt and then that relative did not accept, we kind of, go and then ask forgiveness. If the person say, yeah, I forgive you, you free, and then really forgive, then the spirit can get to transcend. And then the spirit will stand at the journey of reincarnation. Now, once you say you don't want reincarnation, like you take a whole concept of reincarnation, a whole concept of how a spirit gets to come back in a new body. Okay? Like we all already got like deja vus and we say things and then all of that. We know like, man, it's like maybe it might be my past life. That means we already know that we've been here before. Okay? So the journey to come back here again is a journey that's like very important, and you just don't take that away from human being. Human being needs to be aware of that, because once you're aware of it, that's why I say like you don't have a future, you don't have a past in the modern societies. Once you know like your future, this is what's going to be your future, like death, you're going to die at the end, and then when you die, these things going to be happening. You're going to have to really learn how to live according to certain principles, and that's why we live those principles. Now, the concept of heaven, like where someone can just be there, that's it, you die, finish, you go to heaven or you go to hell. Let me ask this. How long do you think you can sit in that chair for without moving?
I think it's very difficult, really.
Exactly.
Not for very long.
You cannot, human being to our nature, even though we will consider like we got rid of our bodies, we still have the human essence. Our spirits still have like a human essence. The same way I cannot sit in this chair for a long time, I'm not going to sit in this chair till tomorrow morning. I'm going to have to get up. It's the same way that, even your spirit is always dynamic. It's always moving. It's not static. So there's not that kind of place where your spirit is going to be static. No. Now, a spirit that does not get to transcend, that spirit over here doesn't remain static. That spirit also will be dynamic, shaking you. Maybe you're trying to do this and you think you're already achieving it, and then the next day, disappointment. What happened?
So that's when bad things happen to people sometimes. It's like,
Your ancestors, those spirits that in your relative spirit that are not able to transcend, will be the one coming back, shaking you because they want you to help them. You have the possibility of doing things to get them to transcend. Now, if you don't, they're gonna come and affect you in the way that, cause they still linked to you, they still related to you, so they're not gonna go. You're the only thing they know that they have over here, so they're gonna come on you, and then whatever is chasing them will start chasing you too. So when you see someone telling you have a spirit following you, don't think the person is being, lunatic. The person is being real because it's following you, And then there's a lot of people underground there. Whenever you go in the tube, a lot of people there walking with, bags of spirits just hanging on them, and then stress, depressed, all of those kind of things, and then they don't even know what to do with it. And then the same system that thinks that it controls everything does not even know what to do with it.
yeah,
I hope I answered the question for whoever was asking that question.
Yeah.
You know,
My sister Kusati would like to ask a few questions, Naba, if you don't mind.
no problem. Society.
Okay, Ushahi Naba,
Ujai.
welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, this is a question from a member of the public who called to inquire, when we die, does the soul leave the body before the spirit?
Yeah, when according to the archives of the temples of the Nile Valley, and according to the Book of the Dead, death happened 40 days before you actually start breathing. Our dead relative, our relative stop breathing and the body goes cold. That's not the day that the person died. The person already died like 40 days before that. Okay, that's according to our archives, And then you'll notice that 40 days before the death of your relative, there will be a lot of talks. They will already be telling you, like they're traveling or like goodbye, telling you things that make you feel like the person. Why are you saying that? But you're not gonna think about it. It's only after they die that you'll be like, "What? He was just telling me, or she was just saying this." So that means the person saw their death. So death happened 40 days before the person died. Now, how does it really function? There's a situation that will happen for death to happen. Okay, we're not talking about even like talking about accidental death or sudden death or death through fire like shooting or death through bleeding or death someone just getting sick and dying or someone just went to sleep and didn't wake up. So all of those kind of deaths have like a might have like a different explanations, but all of them have like the same way of going process, which is like 40 days before the person already start dying or the person already dead. Because 40 days before, the spirit will start fighting with the body. Okay? Whenever we talk about spirit, the modern society doesn't know the difference between the spirit and the soul. Okay? Or the soul and the mind. The spirit is different from the soul. Okay? And the soul is different from the mind. Okay? So the spirit is almost like the non-material aspect of you in the physical world. Like right now, this is this physical aspect of me. But spiritually, I have like an aspect. My spiritual aspect of me is my spirit. My soul is what's making me breathe. Okay? And my mind is actually coming from the brain. Okay? So and what's making me breathe is really like the heart. Okay? Because that's even like the first thing that gets to be formed when a human being starts. Because when a human being starts, that's like the first thing. The heart start forming and everything will build around the heart. So that's really like where the soul is. Okay? So once the spirit starts kind of fighting against, fighting with the body, meaning like there's no more harmony, there's no more reason for that spirit to be in that body. So the spirit would detach itself first. And when the spirit detaches itself from the body first, then the soul will start living. And the soul will live when, or they will finish, as I might say, let me correct, not live, but finish. The soul will finish when the heart stops beating. Okay, but the mind can still be there for some moment until either nowadays I think people put their dead in the cold. I mean, in a freezer to freeze them. But we to frozen them or freeze them. Yeah. Normally, when the person die, we have a natural way of taking care of everything. Like when we talk about mummification, the mummification is happening because of the mind that's still there, because you want to keep that active at some point until the person is going to the earth, until the person is buried. You want to be able to keep the mind still function, but the mind is really something that's coming from like the brain, so that's why when someone dies, you have to close the eyes, because the mind will still kind of be active there and then still perceiving, and you can still see like the mind can still have like even like after death, after the body is cold, still have like some other things to record. So you have to, I think science is getting to that point now, saying that when someone died, the brain is still valuable until a certain time. But yeah, that's why that's why you do mummification. You do mummification to keep that mind active. Okay, so when they take during mummification, they will take the brain out. Okay, and then save it, and then bury it next to the person separately. Because the whole process that we're doing, trying to prepare the body, trying to clean the body, purify the body, prepare it, put in best ability that the earth will receive it and all of that, the mind still see that. It still perceive that. Okay? That's why like in our places when our relative die, everybody wants to be around to help, to be part of it, doing everything, because that mind still registering that. It's still recording all of that. Okay? So when the person goes, that's when you put the person under the earth. That's when normally when they take the brain will go with the person. Like when you go in the British Museum, all of those clay pots and things that you see, they say like some of them were like for cooking.
That's what it was for.
Yes. You cannot go dig our ancestors' grave and think that they were buried with their cooking pots. No one does that. Okay? We are a civilization that's like far evolved. We're very evolved that we know that, when you die, you still have children that needs to eat, or you still have either your husband or your wife who needs to eat. So they're not going to bury with your cooking pots. Those are like, ceremonial pots that, things are in to keep the person, So this is for those who are mummified. Okay, for those who are not mummified, you just bury the person with, everything complete, but the mind is still function. So the mind is the one that will be like the last thing to go. That's why we say be mindful. Okay, be mindful, be careful. Okay, but the spirit is already kind of, gone 40 days before that. The spirit already detached itself. Now, does it go? It doesn't go. It just can't detach itself from the body, but it cannot go anywhere. Just have to be wandering until it gets a permission to go away. Now, when you don't bury the body, if you haven't buried the body, the spirit doesn't go. It's still around. Yeah, it still comes around and all of that. Now, let's say you burn the body. If you burn the body and then you have your ashes, you burn the body and then you have your ashes in you have the ashes in how do you call it? In whatever you keep the ashes, or you go through the ashes in the nature in the river. Yeah, the spirit will still kind of looking for it, because you haven't given back. You haven't done like properly what it needs to be done for it to go back. So this is all of this process or whatever we're talking about now is really like knowledge or wisdom that's coming from temples that value human life, and then value like the life after death. Okay, but there are some temples that you will come across, or some ideologies or religion you come across that don't think like human life is valuable.
Well, that puts me on to the next question actually. The other question from the listener was, do animals have a soul?
Yeah, we have in our calendar, the sidereal calendar, that the calendar that we following, the traditional one we following. We have days or period or days of the year where we honor animals. Okay, we are not a society that can claim to be vegetarian or vegan. We know that's new. That's why people think we don't do that. So the point is like we have a day where we honor animals that have red blood, and not only they have red blood, they have a heart, and not only they have a heart that pumps that blood, they have the lungs, and not only that they have the lungs, but they also live on Earth. Okay, those animals, we know that those animals have soul, and then according to our temples, there's a day that we celebrate those animals, and that day you're not allowed to eat, you're not allowed to kill any animal. After that day, anyone can kill and eat, whatever they want to eat. But we that day we only eat fish. We only offer fish to family and all of that. We share fish, and fish doesn't stand according to those characteristics. Okay, so yes, animal do have soul, but maybe before you even ask me if that was in your question, like what's a soul, or if any listener might ask me what's then a soul is really something that is not doesn't carry any identity. The soul does not carry any identity, meaning if I die today, my soul doesn't go with my identity as that's a Naba Irita soul. No. When I die, my spirit will go like this is Naba Irita spirit. Okay. But when I die, my soul goes back to the universe. It's just like a breath. Whatever you call soul is not different from breath. That's why you said the person gave, when someone is dead, you said the person gave their last
breath, yeah.
the last breath, because it's like a breath. That's what makes that, that's the energy force that exists in the universe, and that gives us the idea of motion, the idea of functioning. Like when you see, like when you take, let me take a simple example. When you take a car, your car needs a soul, and I would say your car soul is gas, petrol that you put in. Okay, or the electricity, the electricity that you put in, that's your car soul. Like when your phone is on, it's because it's charged. That energy is there charging it. Once that energy finish, your phone will go dead. Okay, that's the same way that the soul functions in the body, in any living that have like a soul. That's what it is. So the soul does not belong to anyone. The soul belongs to the universe. Okay, once you die, it just go back and then it's new. Anyone else can use it again. Anybody else can use that same soul to come back again. As a matter of fact, anytime you go to sleep, you wake up with a new soul. Anytime you go to sleep, you wake up with a new soul. That's why when you wake up, you feel recharged. You feel like, yes, I'm ready to continue. Okay, so before going to sleep, you get to the level of death where your heart will stop. Have you ever thought about trying to remember the second you fell asleep? Because no one will remember that. Because you were in that mode of coma. If it takes you like a second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds for the spirit to just go, and the soul also to live and then recharge again, yeah, that happened. Okay, So that's why, our body is just like magnetic, and very powerful. And that's why we say instead of looking for development, it's better you start kind of evolving, enveloping yourself and all of that. Okay, and giving yourself that value. That's the only way the world will give you value, or the other person will give you value. Yeah. Does that answer your question? I hope this answered the question of our listener, or the person who asked the question.
Well, there's this question I would like to ask you though. I said, as well as being a Dogon high priest, the Nabas are also healers, and one of the services they provide is the earth energy readings. Can you elaborate a little bit on what that is? Because we'll have an event coming up soon, which that could be offered as well to the listeners. So
Okay. The earth energy readings is something that's very, very old, and since the time of the pharaohs, the pharaoh, in the Nile Valley, all of those temples that we talk about, with the mystery temples of the Nile Valley, the time of the pharaoh, and all of that, most of their achievements and everything did not just happen by, just illusion or anything. It happened through a science. Okay, a science, and that's actually the very first human science. Actually, we call a science something that's really kind of improving itself and all of that. So that science is what we call the mtam science, meaning like the science of the earth energies, studying the studying no actually the science of questioning the earth energies. How do we do that? It's a way of going. There's a way of going through that science. You can go to the earth, into the earth memory, the memories of the planet earth, and then because the planet earth has like energies within it. Okay, no one will deny that, because we have these lights and everything that's happening, or that we know that there's powerful magnetism that's happening. So in those energies, you kind of tap into them, and then you question. Like I can question, like, what's in the Hipsa's destiny in the next year, and then the Earth already, it's a big planet, it's a big planet. The Earth already know what your future is gonna be, according to how your present is and what your past was. Okay, now according to the day that you were born, when you were coming out of your mom womb, you come with a destiny. You came with a goal, okay, in your hand. So the earth knows about that already. So meaning, if I'm able to question the earth about your destiny, I get to know your destiny without you even knowing it. Because by the time you start growing up, you lose the memory of your destiny. You lose, you don't remember your destiny. That's why you have to go to the initiation. That's why you have to go to the the rite of passage, so that through those energies and earth readings and energy readings, to remind you of why you're here. Okay, so when you tap into the earth energies, you get to know people's past, future, present, things happening. It doesn't matter, like physical or non-physical, material or non-material, spiritual, whatever is going on with the person, you get to really kind of or perceive all of that. Not see, but perceive all of that. And once you perceive all of those things, you tell the person, and then the earth also give, if it's not like a good, good destiny, good omen, then you get to ask the earth, how can I fix it to be harmonious, and then you get to fix it. So that's how we function. Like if you wake up and then you check your energies according with in relation to the earth, and then your energies don't seem to be good, you question the earth. So how can I fix it? Because something not being good cannot be a destiny. And we know that we know that we have many destinies, because you can renegotiate your destiny depending on the system you're using, and what and how you connected to the world of the dead, the world of the God, the world of the universe, nature, earth, how you connect it, you can get to negotiate all of that. Like, as a matter of fact, all of this knowledge that we're talking about and all of that, I didn't just sit here and then make up those knowledge. The wisdom that I'm sharing here, I didn't just sit here and then, I just, no. It took me training. It took me studying, being initiated into those things. And now, the perception, maybe some question you might ask me, then my perception will have to function that way. It's not going to be illusion. It's not going to be, what's that word? I always forget that word, instinct. Okay, it's not going to be instinct. Okay, and it's not going to be intuition. It's just like a pure reality, logics, and all of that. Okay, yeah. So the science, the science of Mtam or the earth energy readings, even the Greeks call it geomancy. Geomancy. And when you check it, there's been a lot of civilization, a lot of tribes and civilization that kind of practice it and learn it. And then for some, it lost its credibility, or he lost its original form. And then for some, they kept it. In my tribe, we kept it so close to what it is. We didn't even want to, because we avoid being, influenced, and being able to avoid being influenced. So religion didn't influence our system of doing it, just like no ideology came to influence it. So we do it as raw, just like the way it's gonna come from the earth.
Oh, Nava, it's been very inspiring. Have you got another question? Go for it.
Yeah, that's good. Yes.
Next question. Notice when people visit our center temples, there's a picture of a mermaid hanging on the wall. Can you elaborate on this, please?
The mami, the goddess of the sea, or the water world. Yeah, it's called Mami Water. I think it's even in English, water. So it's called Mami. Mami would be like, the mother or the divine mother of, we call someone Mami to mean like the person is the divine mother. Okay. And, we have the Dogons, because when you talk about Mami, that's really like Mami Water, that's on the southern part of Africa. Okay, that knowledge or that wisdom or that how would you call it? Yeah, that practice came from the southern part of West Africa. Okay, like those people living on the coast. Okay, they're the one who really kind of came out with that. But for us, we don't call it Mami Water. Those are the ones that, for the people who wrote about us, they talk about the normals and things like that. So there's no difference between a normal and a Mami Water. Okay, because all of them have are like the spirit of water. So we have what we call, there's a Mami Water, but there's also a male. That's a papa. Okay, like a dad or something like that. We call them that. So for us, up north in around the savannah and the Dogon tribe, we have what we call like those normals, like male and female as well, and they are actually part of human existence. I didn't say human life. I did not say human life.
Yes.
I said human existence. So when a baby, the day that a spirit decides to start preparing its reincarnation to come back to earth, that day there's also a spirit that will decide to come with that baby. Okay, so that spirit is what? When a baby is in the womb, you see that water that the baby is within?
Yes.
That's the whole world of the baby. Okay, the baby doesn't have anything. That's the whole world. So that baby needs someone or needs a way. It's not just the mother, taking care, rubbing that belly, or when we talk about emotional, or maintain her emotion, and it's not about that. Like whatever is happening in the womb of the woman, women don't even understand that nowadays in the modern society. They don't even know what the womb is useful for. Okay, so when that baby is in the womb over there, and in that water, the spirit that decides to come with that baby is the one maintaining that baby's well-being all the way to the baby coming here. It's not. That's the only magic. It's not just like oh no, the baby form and then it's in the water. Like nowadays, people talking about abortion being like right or wrong, which is wrong because you don't know all of the other aspects of how a human being gets to be formed, or how the human being gets to be prepared to even come here.
Or when the spirit enters
Or
the fetus.
Exactly, and all of that. So once the baby is in the womb, and then that water start forming, that spirit is the one there doing everything, turning the baby, putting the baby in a position that the baby doesn't get to be like, because the baby is still brave, still do everything, and all of that, it being in there. So that spirit needs to be there and then helping the baby. So the baby is in transition between the non-material world to the material world, or between the world of the dead to the world of the living. So that baby being in that transition, that baby needs someone, to help that baby transcend, just like the way when that baby is born, we need to be here to help the baby get, to be or to become. Or just like when someone die, we here need to ensure that the person is transcendent. Good. That's why we talk about transcendence, because it's like a transitional point of everything. And then that spirit is the one being there. So if you are being born, that's exactly why, even like when I was talking about homosexuality problems and the gender problem, like where the confusion is, and then it's more so like something that's a big confusion that the system does not want to get the solution for. They just want to just tell people like they know but they don't know, because to get those solutions to fix people suffering from that kind of confusion, it's a sickness. It's a sickness, just like autism, just like mental. It's a sickness. There's just a sickness that's like has its forces, not physical but more so like spiritual. So you have to go to the people who do spirituality to know how to fix that. Now, the system will not be willing, the Babylonian system of this government will not be willing to come back to traditional people that they already said that we are undeveloped or we are savage. They're not going to come to you and ask you to tell them what to do. So instead, just let that people be whoever they want to be. So once the baby is formed, why am I saying that? Because once the baby is formed, the formation of the baby starts. What happens is, like, if that baby is going to be born, because already at the birth, at the formation, the energy is decided already. If it's a masculine energy, it's already decided before even the heart start forming. If it's a feminine energy, it's already decided before even like the heart start forming. And all that decision is made during the process of reincarnation, preparing the reincarnation to come, which these ideologies also cut off. Like, they don't want you to talk about reincarnation, So preparation of all of that, if the baby is already prepared to come, and then it's like male energy coming through that baby, then it's going to have to be a female water entity to come with that baby. Now, if that baby is going to be like a female, then it's going to be a male water entity to come with that baby. Okay? And then to keep the balance, to keep that balance and all of that. And that's what makes, pregnancy so glowing. I don't see anyone who think like a pregnant woman is not glow. Every pregnant woman is like, has this power in her that somehow you don't know where it's coming from, and then it's within, and all of that. So when the baby is born, that spirit don't go. That because when the baby is being born, the water comes out too. Because that's the first thing. He's the one to open the door. I mean, open everything for the baby. It's time for you to come. It's not the doctor to decide. Okay? It's not the doctor to decide like, oh, today is the day you need to be born. No. It's that baby, it's that spirit in there that decide like, okay, today is the day. According to all of the contract, according to all of the negotiation you made through your reincarnation process, this day, time, second, and where the sun is or where the moon is, according to the alignment of everything. If that baby is supposed to be born while one of the auntie is out, it has to match all of that too. Or one of the uncle is out, it has to match all of that. If the baby has to be born maybe when the mother is in the farming, it has to match all of that because that's part of the contract that baby said. And that's the time the water will break. And there's always like a time between the water breaking and the baby coming out. They give at least a time to get the person ready. But once that water broke and then that scam, that spirit doesn't go back. That spirit doesn't go back. That spirit remain here with you.
So is that like what you would call a guardian angel? What they call guardian angel?
That's what the churches and the religions or other thing will be calling guardian, your guardian angel.
Yes.
But in this situation, according to our archive, the guardian angel, if you are a boy, your guardian angel will be a female, and then if you are a female, your guardian angel will be a male, and then the one that you see in most of the things like Mami water, I think Yoruba have names for them. Ifa, they have names for that. That's actually the god. That's actually like the mother of all of those spirits. She's the one deciding. Okay, she's not the one coming through you, but she's the one deciding which one of a child or which one of a baby to be with you. So there's like a male and female, and they're the one deciding like which one of the children to come with you. So when we worship them on that aspect, like showing our gratitude. But actually, that's something people need to know is like that spirit coming with us, and then being like the spirit of water owns everything, our destiny, our well-being, intellectual well-being, emotional well-being, financial well-being, everything. Owns that. So you have to be able to know how to deal with that, connect with that spirit in order for you to be able to really be, evolving in like continuing your journey, because they're the one to make sure everything you ask for is there for you and then guiding you to get through everything.
Because we often see when babies are in their cots, they always, you notice a presence around them that only the baby observes and knows to be there.
No, when the baby is out, the baby is still in touch with that spirit. When the baby, play, laugh, smile, or do things, that baby is still in touch with that spirit. He's there doing everything too. Not just the mother and the father or the family there doing things. That spirit is there doing everything. So you will see this interesting. There was many times, but the one I know about is like there's an accident that happened in Burkina at some point on the road from Ouagadougou to Bobo. For those who know Burkina, if you don't know, try to know. It's a beautiful country. Revolutionary though, we don't like people stepping on us. Yeah. So those people, when they got into accident, there was a baby. I think they were talking about 3 months old, that baby. And there was about 67 dead in that accident, like two cars, like buses. And that's the only one that did not die. The baby. And the question, the news, in the news that day, when I was in 2007 or 8, the question that day is like, how the baby got out of the bus and then landed like in the bush and landed like in the way that like he was just someone put him there to sleep. How did that happen? That's the question. Everybody asks. That's no one has an answer. And then soon later, the elders came and said, "Yep, that baby is so lucky, and he's pure. His spirit is the one who did all of that." And then even with elders, just say like that baby will grow up becoming one day a priest. Because of that, that means he came to serve something. He came on earth with a big destiny, so he has to accomplish it. That's why that happened. And when the baby baby does everything, that spirit is there, doing everything. So that's where like most of the people have like this sickness, that you call homosexuality, whatever you call it. When they come to us in the temples, we focus on healing, on maintaining, reinforcing, and healing their relation with that entity. Once they're able to really link back to that entity, they get balance. Now they leave the confusion side and then be balanced, and then they know how to walk in life now. Pure knowledge, pure knowledge, archives proven by time, time proven, and all of that.
Yeah, Dua Naba. We got many more questions we would have liked to have asked, but yeah. So we'll reserve those questions for the next time that you'll come back again. So we're gonna
The music.
Ujjayi, and welcome back to the Wisdom of the Nile show. Dua Nahibsa firing some questions and Kasati giving Naba some questions. Wow, some really powerful information coming through. Oh, wow.
Very honored.
Likewise. If you want to hear Naba speak live and direct, there will be a talk this Saturday, the 13th of July, 6:30 to 8:30, and it is on. No, let me rewind there, because this Saturday is not July. This Saturday is the 15th of June. So we have got something on the 13th of July, but let's do the first one first. The importance of family, a Dogon perspective. Naba will be speaking at the London School. That's 21 Sunnyside Road, London, E10 7BB. So if you want to get tickets online, you can get tickets at justtickets.com. The space is, there's only a certain amount of space. So if we see that the tickets...
You just said that we're not rich, so we don't have a big space.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that's right, that get your tickets early, because if the tickets reach a certain amount, we'll have to stop tickets sell. So get your tickets early if you want to come in. We know quite a few people have already booked to come to that talk. So that's this Saturday, the 15th of June, 6:30 to 8:30, and it's on the importance of family, a Dogon perspective. There is going to be another talk on Saturday, the 13th of July, 6:30 to 8:30, and that's going to be on spiritual purification and Kemetic movements. Unfortunately, Naba will not be here at that time. He's going to be in another part of the world continuing the mission of the temples, but initiates will be there to do that presentation. So again, you can get more information on that. 21 Sunnyside Road, London, E107BB. Or if you would like to come and visit the school and know more about the information that Naba is sharing here, if you want to become an initiate to go through this process of initiation through the first stage, which you call per Ankh, you can also contact the school. If you want any of our publications, so there are several publications that the school has, from magazines to the Kemetic calendar, the sidereal calendar that is coming from the Nile Valley Times, Nile Valley region, thousands and thousands of years old sidereal calendar, which operates from the Sirius star. You can purchase that calendar and get to a bit more familiar with some of the teachings. So apart from the magazine, you've got the Initiatic Tales of Hej Batar. We also have the Philosophy Podium written by Neb Naba. We have the Book of Spiritual Purification. Thank you, Naba. Spiritual Purification. We also have the Code of Human Behavior, which is the 77 commandments, in other words, that people will understand, which is where your 10 commandments come from, or the 44 laws of Ma'at. So any of those products. We also have herbs there. And on Saturday, we will have those products for sale. And we will also have herbs there if you want to know a bit more about the traditional culture. So there is so much to learn. Also, if you want to come in and sit in on one of the classes just to see what the initiation is about, you can do that. So you can call on 0207 175 4144. That's 0207 175 4144. Or you can contact us on enquiries-uk@theearthcenter.org, or if you want to go online, it's www.theearthcenter, that's center with a TER.org. Now, we have actually gone, because this is a 2-hour show, but every time you come in, Naba, it just can't stay at 2 hours, because I believe we have some more questions in the studio, and our brother is just kind of standing looking at the door. My brother, no, he normally likes to wait to the end because he wants to make sure he gets the last say, right? So do you actually want to share, because I know there's quite a few other questions that we have had from the listening public, but we'll have to keep that for another time, because there really is so many questions that we can ask Naba, and we don't want to, overstretch him. So if we don't have any more questions in the studio, do we have? Right. So yes. So ask a question, my brother. Where do we come from? Okay. No. You'll need to take a mic. Sorry. I don't know if you want to be on camera. Oh. No, do you want to be on camera? All right. What number have we got? Your list. Put them all up. All right, we got you up. Okay. Have we got you on 3, my brother? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to ask your question?
Yeah.
There we are.
Manting. All right, greetings. Question again from last week. As I say, you have different people on the planet come from different places. Some people say they come from here and there. Where do we actually come from before we actually manifested on this earth? Because there's people out there that say they come from Saturn. Some of them say they come from the cat family. Some say they come from this family, and all these things they're saying on different galaxies out there. So where do we come from? Was we actually made for this earth, or did we come to this earth? And if so, how?
Yes, I know it was a good question last week, and it was a good question because there's a lot to really share, to really talk, mention, in order for for us to really grasp it. What is one thing I want to reassure you is that we're not coming from the monkeys. Okay, that's one thing we have to be sure about. We're not coming from the monkeys, and for the rest of the one part of the world that's thinking that they come from some stars, or they come from some galaxies, or they come from some families, cat families, or whatever families they come from. That's still that still kind of show how lost the humanity is, or how how lost, how big of loss we are to humanity, because we all know that we come from a mother and a father. We all know that for sure. We all know that we come from a mother and a father. And we all know that those mothers came from, these mothers or father came from their mothers and their father as well, so and so. Now, how far can we really push that? How far can we push that to really see like asking that question of billions of dollars or billions of pounds, which is the origin of the world, the origins of human. We have what we call the cosmogony, and the cosmogony is what we can describe. I don't know if English, it is English or in French, I don't know, but it's cosmogony. It's almost like the genesis of the cosmos. Okay, the genesis of the cosmos, and according to the oldest cosmogony, which is really like the Kemetic cosmogony, humans, we are not a creation. Okay, just like the way the Bible say it, we are not a creation. We are a procreation. We are a procreation because there has been creation before human. I don't know if there's people can see the difference between the creation and the procreation. Human being, we get to come into life or into existence through a process that's called procreation, meaning two people getting together to bring another person. Okay, where we got the concept of we are a trinity. Human beings like a trinity. So we have what we call the first trinity, and we have what we call the second trinity. And the human being came from what we call the first trinity and the second trinity. And that second trinity is a creation of what we call the first trinity. And that first trinity is through a process that we call the becoming. Not the coming, but the becoming. That's how how far I can translate in English, from my language, like the becoming. At the beginning, according to our archives, in the temples, or those temples archives, it was said in the Book of the Dead, chapter 125, that there was what we call the noon. The noon is almost like chaos. Not the Big Bang Theory, but the noon was like an existence. I don't even to call it existence, but the noon was like a reality that's like from far from the human being perception. Like our brain cannot perceive it. Okay, why? Okay, once you want to be able to perceive it, it's almost like asking a human being to, like, maybe I'm going to put something on top of your head and then ask you to tell me what's there. Is that possible for human being? Our eyes. So the noon is like something like that. Okay. But in the noon, there was what we call the God of becoming, or the God of transformation. The God of transformation is, in our language, we call it Hepra. Kepra, some people say Kepra, we call it Hepra. Hepra is the God of transformation. And through Hepra's principles, there was a God that became. And that God, we call it God because that's the word I can use, but we don't really call it God. We call it Neter, or it's like, a power that became. And that power, when that power became from the noon, that power decided to create the first two elements in the existence. Meaning to create existence, to start existence. And in that creation of existence, he created fire and earth. After that creation, since his mission was to really start existence, so he created fire and earth, and then he felt satisfied that he accomplished his mission. But another God has to become, and that's the God that we call Iman. The first one is the one we call Ra. Ra is the one you find, it's a big God that humanity doesn't know about anymore, but somehow we use that God's power or that God's name in everything we do. Okay? Rasta, Ibrahima, Abraham, and things like that. Even Abraham got his name. Abraham would mean what? In our language, Abraham is not in Hebrew or in whatever language it might be, but it's a Kemetic language. Ibrahim will mean the heart, which is Ib, Ra, the God, Ima, within me. So it's almost like when you call someone Ibrahim or Abraham, it's like the God of the heart of Ra, the God Ra is within me. Okay, and after he became a creator, fire and earth, then he felt satisfied because his job was to start existence. When the second God became Iman, another God of the Kemetic pantheon that we use around the world, even the new you call new religions, or the religions that we have nowadays still use that one too. Iman or Amen or Amon or Amin or Ama is a God that is the second one to become. And when he became, he noticed that the fire and the earth, being like the beginning of existence would not survive, because you can put fire and a matter together. It's going to create combustion. It's going to burn. So that means existence will start, but existence will not last. So he decided to create two other elements. That's where creation started. Creation started after those gods becoming. He said he's going to create two elements to make sure to keep those two other first two elements not to be combustion, not to be in the combustion, state. So he created air and water, and then put in between earth, in between fire and the earth, to make sure they don't get to, So after that, he felt like, existence is now in a, is harmonious, is stable, and can kind of, start its march. So after his creation, his mission, he thought he accomplished his mission, and then a third God came. And that God, actually, Amen. When a lot of people pray, either in the churches or in the mosques or any other, spiritual system, you always have to say your prayers, and after your prayers, call upon Amen to come take your prayers. Like whenever people pray, Amen, that's the God. It's a God. You cannot claim to be like a monotheist religion, and then after praying, saying your prayers to your God, call upon another God to come and then take your prayers to wherever it needs to go. So when the Muslims pray and then they say, Amen, in the name of Allah, in the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whatever, Amen, you call on another God to come and take your prayers. That's the God, the second God, Amen. The one who created water and air. Okay, that was his contribution. Now the third God has to become. And when that third God became, that third God name is Ptah. It's because of that God that we have in every language and every tradition the third position, like anything that's like in the third position, sounding like that God. Like tres, trois. In our traditional languages that we speak like tabo, tozo, things like that. We have like that God is always, his name is always kind of refer or in that, in those sounds that we say to mean like the third position of everything. So when Ptah came, Ptah noticed that there was already a creation of 4 elements. And then with those 4 elements, he can create life. So Ptah created life. And in creating life, Ptah created the first 2 couples of beings. So that's when actually, even in this whole story, humans are not even in the picture yet. We're not even in the picture yet. This is the process of, the becoming of existence. So with those 4 elements, existence was already, there. Everything can start. But existence without life wasn't really, part of. It's not even going to be like an existence. So he needed to create life within it, and that's when he created life. And anything that exists, life. When I say life, it's life. Anything that brave, and anything that brave has those 4 elements in them. He used the 4 elements to create life. Those 4 elements to create life. And there's no life on earth that can survive on earth or live on earth without those 4 elements. We all can see that already.
But those 4 elements are 4 gods.
No, the 4 elements are fire.
But they're still gods, though.
They're divine. They are not gods, but they are divine. They are the creation of God. Something that's been created by God is divine. It has like the divine power within it, but it's not God. The God itself exists. Okay? So that's why even in Hausa, I don't know if you know the language called Hausa. In Hausa, typically, when they look at the sun and they want to say sun for them, they call sun Rana. Rana meaning the eye of Ra, like the eye of Ra. Okay, so the story, with the life coming in, is that the life coming in the picture with the first two couple being created is where human really story will start, because you can see that the process of becoming existed. I mean, the process of becoming brought existence, and now after that, then the process of creation. After the process of creation, then when these two couples were created, that's when the process of procreation will start. So you see, those when I was talking about the first Trinity, Ra, Imen, and Ta are the first Trinity. And then when the Ta created the first two couples and life and the first two couples, it was the couples were the one that we call Wazir and Aishat. Those, some people call it Cyrus and Isis, and then Seth and Nephthys. So it's because of those two. Cause one, there's a Seth is male energy, masculine energy, and then Osiris or Osiris is a male energy too, masculine energy, and then Aishat is feminine, and Nephthys is feminine. So because of these two masculine energies, we have the concept of good and bad. And because of those two masculine energies still, we have the concept of divine and devil. Okay, like a demon and the gods. Satian and the, godly, God-wise, something like that. Okay. So some temples adopted the ways of Seth, okay, which will really define these societies that we're in, the modern society. When the modern society decided to reject the Wazirian principles, they adopted like the Sethian principle. They rejected like the other masculine principle to adopt this other masculine, second masculine principles. That's where we are now in the world, with like the indigenous people and the modern people. Okay. Now, when they created those two couples, they had a choice. And the choice was to choose to live, because they are like the creation of a God. They are divine. The choice is to live according to live eternal. How would they choose to live their eternity? And the Wazir chose to live the eternity through death and reincarnation, meaning he wants to live eternally. He wants to be remembered in humanity as a power, as a God, as a creation of the gods and divine, but he has to die and reincarnate. Die and reincarnate. And through that choice, reincarnate through his descendants. So through that choice, everything, also will have to adopt that in the universe, because they have like the divine legacy to rule the world, to rule humanity, the two brothers. Seth chose to rule, to live out his eternity through a linear life where he doesn't die. He doesn't get sick. He doesn't grow old. He doesn't die. He's like self-preserved, self-sustained. Okay, so for him, choosing that way of living his eternity took away his ability to reproduce, to make babies, to make children. Can you imagine our planet with people who don't die? So it took away from all of that. So that was taken away from him. So he got to live his eternity through, how do you call it, recruitment? Yeah, recruitment, and then, getting people. So what happened is that Seth and Wizard then will have to find a way to ensure that he's going to live eternally among human or among in the existence. So then Seth doesn't need anything to live eternity, just doesn't need anything. But Wizard needed something. Wizard needed to have a descendant in order for him to be able to live out his eternity in existence. So in need of that, he was able to, there's a lot of things that happened before that, but he was able to at some point have a child with the other goddess, Aisha. And they have a child, and that child is the one that's called Heru, or some people call him Horus. And Heru is actually the first time that in existence we will have the masculine and the feminine energy or powers together within him. And that makes him Heru coming in the picture now makes the second Trinity, like the mother, the father, and then the son. Second Trinity. So from there, Heru is actually the first human. That's why in any language, even in English, to say human is really something that you can think is like related to Heru, like the concept of human. Because if you ask someone what's the etymology of human, no one will know what to tell you. Like etymology, where the concept human came from. No one will be able to tell you. But that concept of human, or in French they say humain, is coming from Heru, like the concept of, the concept Heru. The root of that is Heru, the original human, the first human to be. So Heru was born human because he was born from two divine powers, male and female, or masculine and feminine. So those divine powers within him makes him really now the hair, like the hair of existence, because his father has to die. Now that this happened, the father died, and the father dying is the first time that the world of the dead was kind of come to be. And that's where the concept of paradise came from, or heaven. When people talk about heaven, it's because of that. Thinking like, when you die, you go there, and then you don't come back. But when he died, he gets to reincarnate now through Heru. And now we all now are like the reincarnation of Wizard, like that principle. But at the same time, we are like the descendant of that second Trinity, like Heru, Wizard, Aishat, and Heru. We are like the descendants of them. So that's why there's nothing we can do on earth that's not within that principle of life, birth, life, death. Birth, life, death, mother, father, and all of that.
Okay, the time is running. Right.
I'll be back.
Right, so I will ask the next question next week, yeah?
Yeah, you can ask it if it's not.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's just adding on to this, because what you're saying to me, yeah, you have one set of people that can.
It's not people.
When I just add one set of deities, then divine beings that can reproduce,
yes.
And then you have next one that can't reproduce. But when we're looking at the world we're living in today, you have a set of people that do not want reproduction on the earth, yeah. And they push that agenda and all different kind of things so that people do not reproduce. So that means they must belong to that
temple.
Deity.
That temple, yes.
Yeah, that's why they live in that life.
That's the one we call Set.
Yes.
We call when we talk about Satan, ways, certain principles, that's where the world is going now. The world now left the divine, like the godly, principles, now embracing the certain principles. And all of that based on, the secret societies that we have and all of that nowadays. Those are the one really pushing that agenda, because that makes, because when you what certain principle? Certain principle means everything's allowed, everything's permitted. You can do whatever you want. Everything's permitted. But the death and the, reincarnation, death, birth, reincarnation thing, that one comes with a lot of principles. And whenever you see this on a temple, or you see this on anyone, that shows that the person is from the principle of death, reincarnation, birth, because we coming from that temple. Whatever I'm sharing on this radio, I'm coming from that temple. I'm coming from the temple of a Wizarian temple, meaning the temple where humanity needs to be restored, the temple that wants human beings to become human, to stop being, but to become human, to gain that divinity within us.
So how do we create balance between the two sides? Because you got one side that don't want people to bring back for life, and then you got another side that wants to always come back again. But then we have this war between the two sides. So how do we create balance?
Just don't go around taking other people's kids and then thinking you're gonna adopt them. You're the one who made that choice. You made the choice not to have children, but you making that choice forgetting that you are a human being, meaning you are a descendant of a principle that wants you to be reproducing yourself. That's wants you to grow, be born, grow, die, reincarnate, and come back again through your reincarnation. Now, if you make the choice to go against your own self, your own nature as a human being, then don't go around taking, killing other people on other lands and thinking like you can go and then adopt their children. You can't do that. So that's really like, for those people who choose not to be, to be the same and not changing and all of that, then you can't do that.
I got no questions yet. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay. See you on time next week.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Can I just check with you, Naba? Are you in the studio next week? Are you here next week? Because I know you are planning to leave. So are you going to be with us next week?
Next week, we don't really plan life happen. So whatever life will bring, I'll be so happy to be back on the show.
But you're not making any promises?
I'm not making any promises because life doesn't like that.
Okay.
Life wants humility. I'm just going to be humble, and then I see where life will take me. If I'm still here with you in England, we'll come back, and then we will continue these discussions.
Okay.
And thank you for your time too, and thank you for the dedication, because it takes a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice to be, doing all of this. And then all of the people listening, thank you for, sacrificing your sleep to listen to this. And for those who are going to be watching later, thank you for all of that too.
And we want to acknowledge the initiates who have been holding the station. So, our brother Nahips has been here. We know our sister Kasati, our sister Tunmishe, Claudette, they've all been coming through. Every now and again, One Love would pass through. So, it's a community. Yeah. And so, and for all our Hattanees who've been calling in from the States, from Toronto, from Canada, I should say, from all over. It's a community, and that's what I love about the Earth Center. It really does promote that, we're striving to walk the road of the divine, but we understand we're humans. And once we understand that, we understand,
just be human.
Just be human, striving for divinity. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to also share that our Coventry school, because although I mentioned that we have our talk at the London School, but let me give the Coventry and I'll just again say about the London School before we close tonight's show. Now, I know I didn't do this at all during and I'm not expecting any calls, but I am going to still give the number because we didn't give the number at all, which was 079 444 31366, just in case there's any last minute burning questions. But we don't want to overstretch Naba. But we have on the 16th of June, Spiritual Evolution, a talk being done by Naba, or at least initiates, in Coventry, 16th of June, 4 till 7 p.m. That's at the Earth Centre, so the school based in Coventry, the Earth Centre, 18 Biggin Hall Crescent, Coventry, CV3 1GS. That's a talk called the Spiritual Evolution, and then the following week we're going to have what we call orientation, and Naba did give us a synopsis of orientation last week, which is really where those who are desirous of going into initiation, starting initiation, that's like the first session class where you will begin going into the initiation. So that's going to be held on Saturday, the 22nd of June, 2019, 4 till 7 p.m. So if there are any listeners in the Midlands, Birmingham, Leicester, Coventry, anywhere around there, and you're interested in actually going through initiation, you will have your opportunity to do that. So Saturday the 22nd of June, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Earth Centre, Coventry, 18 Biggin Hall Crescent, Coventry, CV3 1GS. You can go along to that. If you want to call the Coventry number, it's 0204 7626 6859. That's 0204 7626 6859, or mobile 07305995944. So that's for those, and it's £7 for the lecture. And also, as I said, we have the London lecture that's coming up, and that's this Saturday, the 15th of June, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And that's going to be the importance of family, a Dogon perspective.
Yep. Family is important.
Now, we've been with you this evening listening to the Wizdom of the Nile show. Sharing with you knowledge from Kemet, sharing with you the ancient knowledge that our ancestors, and even though I have been walking the road with our brothers and sisters for a few years now, at least 5 years, it's still I still have to get my head around the understanding that this knowledge has been kept in secret for thousands of years, and why I have to salute my people. I have to salute the Dagomba people and other traditions that's held it, because we know the rapacious energy that this system has to destroy anything that doesn't look like it, or anything that will challenge it. And it must have taken some level of dedication. You talk about dedication for a few months on a radio show for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It beggars belief. It really, even at this stage, I'm still perplexed at how you've managed to do that. Your people have managed to do that.
They force us to go to their schools and then to go to their religions, and probably with that, we can lose everything. And some of us got lost, through the 2,000 years. A lot of people got lost through just trying to go to the religion, go to their system and all of that. So, but some of us, did not get lost, and then we remain, intact. And the only thing that's like different within us from maybe 2,000 years ago right now, me talking with this blood running in my vein, is that I got a bonus. I got a bonus going to their school. I got a bonus going to
learn about them.
'Cause I got to learn about them. Because when you come and you introduce yourself to me, And you can show me your card, but at the same time you show me your card, you asking me, give me an opportunity to know you. And once I know you, then your respect will depend on who you are compared to who I am or who I was. And wherever we got to now is like there's no respect for this modern civilization. We don't have any respect. They don't even need to ask for any respect, and that's why now they have to be bombing us and then sending us all kind of bombs and guns and weapons and sicknesses and all of that to destroy us. But still, once you have a system of transmission of knowledge, which is based on mouth to ear, generation from generation to generation, and father to son, mother to daughter, then you have a system, that's maintaining that. For sure, no matter how they stab you, you still can really keep certain things. Whatever I'm saying now, I'm sure by the time my children gets to be, adult, they know all of that too. I'm sure they're going to know all of that. But right now, I'm going to send them, go know the system too. But they're getting the initiation that they need. They're getting the knowledge that they need from me. They instruct you, I educate you.
That's right.
Okay? Yeah.
So, you heard it here on the Wisdom of the Nile show. Thank you for listening this week. It was another extended show, but when we get the authentic knowledge, we have to make the most of it. We don't always get this. Thank you for tuning in. Maybe we will have Naba next week, maybe not, but we will still have our initiates sharing the knowledge of the Nile Valley region. I'm Katasta Fakara. This is the Wisdom of the Nile show. Thank you for listening.
This song goes in the memory of the beloved prophet Naba Musa Morodinabig, the doggone priest, Mahir, the truth teller, Bisina Basa, which means I'll be appreciated after I'm gone. He's the man who overcome the devils with love. He's the man who speaks because he has something to say. The man of wisdom, the definition of humanity. Mahir, he comes from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away. He's the man of wisdom. He's the man who lives by faith, and not by fear, His greatest wealth is the richness of his soul. He's the man who lives by faith and not by fear. He's the double-edged sword. He's the double-edged sword. He's the key to unlock the treachery. Follow truth and you shall find him. He's the definition of humanity. He's the beginning and the end. He's the prophet. He comes from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away. Bob Marley says, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophet while we stand aside and look? Some say just come to Maheru, 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 come. You got your own told story. He come from far away.